For nearly 20 years, Ferrari has been chasing a version of itself that no longer exists. A version that didn't second guess, didn't hesitate, and didn't explain failure away with next season. In Formula One, time doesn't heal reputations, it erases them. And as 2026 creeps closer, the question hanging over Maranello isn't whether Ferrari can win again. It's whether they still know how. Once, Ferrari didn't wait for history to bend in their favor. They forced it. World titles felt inevitable. Dominance was normal. But that world collapsed quietly. One season without answers turned into 5. 5 turned into 10. And now, after years of near misses, strategy blunders, and promises that aged poorly, Ferrari finds itself backed into a corner it can't buy its way out of. Because 2026 isn't just another reset, it's a reckoning. That pressure pushed Ferrari toward a decision most teams wouldn't even entertain. Not a tweak, not an optimization. A fundamental break from modern F1 thinking. Something that sounds almost wrong the moment you hear it. Steel, not in the bodywork, not in the suspension, inside the engine itself. Project 678 doesn't announce itself loudly. It wasn't revealed with dramatic renders or bold press releases. It slipped out through whispers, leaks, and raised eyebrows in the paddock. And once people realized what Ferrari was attempting, the reaction wasn't excitement, it was disbelief. Because in a sport obsessed with shaving grams, Ferrari chose a material everyone else had moved on from decades ago. Cylinder heads are sacred territory in Formula One. They live in the most violent environment imaginable. Extreme heat, relentless pressure, zero tolerance for weakness. For years, aluminum alloys were the answer. Light, proven, predictable. Steel was considered too heavy, too stubborn, too risky. And yet, Ferrari went there anyway, which immediately sparked a wave of speculation about just how desperate things had become behind closed doors. Rumors started circulating almost immediately. Some suggested the project had already hit a wall. Others claimed internal resistance from engineers who believed the risks outweighed the rewards. There were even murmurs that key figures had stepped away after realizing how hard this would be to pull off. None of it was ever confirmed, but the consistency of the chatter told its own story. Ferrari was playing with fire. On paper, the concerns were obvious. The 2026 regulations slashed the number of internal combustion engines to just 4 per driver across a brutal 24-race season. No safety net, no margin for error. A single failure isn't just a retirement, it's a domino that can collapse an entire championship. Steel might survive more heat. But what about fatigue? What about weight distribution? What about cracks that don't show up until it's too late? For a while, even Ferrari seemed unsure. Reports suggest they quietly developed an aluminum version alongside the steel design. A silent admission that this gamble might not pay off. It was insurance, a way out, and 4 months. It looked like that exit door might be used. Then something changed. Not with a headline, not with a public test. Quietly, Ferrari brought in help. AVL, a name that doesn't excite casual fans, but commands deep respect among powertrain engineers. Their reputation is built on solving problems that shouldn't have solutions. And according to multiple sources, Ferrari didn't ask them for advice. They asked them to save the project. Early prototypes weren't kind. The steel heads showed promise in simulations, but fell apart in reality. Thermal fatigue, cracking under prolonged stress, the kind of issues that don't make highlight reels, but kill seasons. This was the moment most teams would walk away. Ferrari didn't. They leaned in harder. Late in 2025, the noise shifted. Engineers stopped talking about whether steel could work and started talking about how far it could be pushed. Combustion pressures climbed. Temperatures reached levels aluminum simply couldn't survive. And gradually, confidence replaced caution. Eventually, the aluminum backup disappeared altogether. Ferrari wasn't hedging anymore. They were committed. That decision didn't go unnoticed. While Mercedes and Red Bull dominated the early 2026 engine conversations, with talk of compression tricks and energy cycling strategies, Ferrari's story began spreading differently. Less flash, more tension. Because this wasn't about bending rules or exploiting grey areas. This was brute force engineering. A bet that durability could unlock performance no regulation had explicitly limited. The timing matters. In 2026, power units get heavier. Suddenly, absolute weight becomes less critical than how efficiently energy is converted and managed. Steel thrives where aluminum struggles. Higher heat tolerance allows more aggressive ignition strategies, more stable combustion, more usable power per cycle. In theory, it's exactly what the new era rewards, and the engine isn't standing alone. Whispers point to compact radiators designed around the new thermal demands, a lighter battery to rebalance the car, an air intake concept so closely guarded that even internal departments reportedly worked in isolation. Piece by piece, Ferrari wasn't just building an engine, they were reshaping the entire philosophy of the car around it. But none of this exists in a vacuum. The human course looms over everything. Ferrari ended 2025 without a single win. For a team of that stature, it wasn't embarrassing. It was suffocating. Charles Leclerc delivered flashes of brilliance, but not enough to silence critics questioning whether his prime years were being wasted. And then there was Hamilton, 7-time world champion, 0 podiums, for the first time ever, a statistic that felt unreal the moment it became real. For both drivers, 2026 isn't just a fresh start, it's a crossroads. They've seen hype before. They know the difference between optimism and substance. And inside the garage, the mood reportedly feels different. Not louder, quieter, more focused, less desperate. The kind of belief that doesn't need selling. Ferrari's aggression extends beyond the engine bay. Project 678 signals a return to pushrod rear suspension, a layout they've avoided for over a decade. It's not nostalgia, it's packaging, tighter integration, cleaner airflow, a lower center of gravity. Coincidentally, or it aligns with what rivals are rumored to be planning as well. And Ferrari isn't hiding its hand. 2 versions of the 2026 car will appear in testing. One built for mileage, validation, and survival. Another designed for outright performance. No illusions, no slow rollout. If something fails, it fails early. And if it works, everyone sees it. That transparency is risky. But Ferrari has decided the bigger danger is caution, because failure in 2026 wouldn't just mean another lost season. It could mean the end of an entire leadership era. A confirmation that the scars of the past decade never truly healed. That the weight of expectation finally snaps something fundamental. But if it works, if that steel heart survives the heat, the pressure, the relentless calendar, Ferrari doesn't just come back. They reset the conversation. They prove that courage still matters in a sport obsessed with optimization. So now the countdown begins. January, Barcelona, Bahrain. Every lap will test more than lap time. It will test philosophy, identity, nerve. And when the lights finally go out in 2026, one question will drown out all others. Did Ferrari just make the most dangerous decision in modern Formula One history and get away with it?